First, I want to start with this has been obviously a devastating week for so many people and for our country, and especially for the Black community. What has been going through your head and your heart this week as we are grappling with the shooting of yet another unarmed Black man and the reigniting of protests across the country?
Well, I think like a lot of people across the country, I'm thinking about what I can do and what society can do to address these problems. These kinds of challenges are challenges that involve everyone, and it really requires everyone to pitch in whatever way that they can. And I, as someone who participates very often in the fintech community and in conversations involving finance and technology, and frankly, also with the regulatory community, I see that there's a lot more that can be done. And just as I see these things that not just give me cause, but they break my heart, they also energize me just as they energize many other people to try to find and seek some solutions.
Now, as you've pointed out, Black employees are underrepresented across corporate America. Black executives are underrepresented. And you've also done exclusive research on the lack of representation among financial regulators, which is obviously a really important job and has a huge influence on economic policy in the United States. What exactly have you found?
Well, when you look at the history of financial regulatory agencies in the United States, going all the way back to the 1930s and to the 30s and mid 40s, the diversity of our financial regulatory agencies has been, frankly, appalling. And when you think about really what a financial regulatory agency does, I mean, this involves devising policies that pertain to the protection of investors, policies that really speak to how do you allocate capital and help to create access for people who are participating in the economy. When you don't have everyone participating in that conversation, it can lead to the same kinds of subpar outcomes that you have when you have a lack of representation when it comes to people trying to devise financial products or who are trying to think through investment decisions, such as in the venture capital community. And I think that when you have a conversation about access and when you have a conversation about innovation, that conversation can't just be a private sector conversation. If you really want to get something done, it has to be a public sector and governmental conversation as well. And again, those numbers have just been appalling, with only 10 regulators, 10 out of approximately 327 who have ever been Black, less than 3%. And the government can and should do better.
Now, as you look forward, certainly we've got even more uncertainty ahead. What is your outlook for an economic recovery, knowing that there are so many families out there who are in pain, knowing that this will disproportionately impact negatively the Black and brown community?
Well, it seems to me that the conversation has to be about having people, to paraphrase Hamilton, who are in the room where it happens when it comes to devising both the financial products and services, as well as the policies for these communities who are being disproportionately and negatively impacted by the coronavirus and by the economic hardship that the virus has unleashed. And when you think about the recovery, and you think about how uneven that recovery has been, there are a number of solutions that are right now being discussed, that are being considered, both again on the private sector as well as on the by governmental authorities. Questions about payments infrastructures, questions about how do you think about monetary policy and what kinds of rates should one use to target monetary policy and to devise monetary policy. Questions that have to do with protecting people from charlatans who may be selling snake oil, but also conversations involving ensuring that everybody has access to top flight financial and technological services in order to participate in this economy and in the recovery. And again, those kinds of conversations have to have people who are both sensitive to more than one community and to the diversity in the American economy, but also people who have a lived experience with both the upsides and the failures of the legacy regulatory and financial infrastructure.